Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Chudd here with your weather update on this Friday evening. We are tracking more showers arriving for the weekend after a dry and sunny Friday across the Ohio Valley. We're tracking more cloud cover tonight, but this rain will hold off mainly until we get into early tomorrow morning. So let's jump into things. Our current temperatures right now across the area are falling from the 50s and the 40s. The 40s, though, is where we're likely going to remain. We're not going to track any cooler temperatures than that. Skies are going to be turning cloudy tonight. Already dealing with quite a bit of cloud cover moving into the area, so temperature's not going to drop a whole lot more from where they're currently at. And it'll be more of a chilly start than a cold start to tomorrow. Not as cold as what we have for this morning. It is Saturday morning, and you'll notice that for the vast majority of tonight, we stay dry. It is more early Saturday morning that these showers will be moving into the area. There's a look at 3:30 a.m., getting up closer to 4 a.m., and we're already starting to see some showers getting awfully close to that I-77 corridor. We fast forward then closer to 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and there's where we're dealing with these scattered rain showers in place, and we'll be dealing with these more hit or miss periodic showers carrying over going into midday, as well as in the early afternoon as well. There's a look at 2 o'clock, and at this point, still likely contending with a few showers in the area. You notice what happens once we get past 2, get closer to 4. A lot of this is tapering off, so by the time we get into the latter part of Saturday afternoon and into the evening, we're going to start to dry up, and at this point even start to see some clearing in our skies. So while I do anticipate it to be chilly tomorrow evening, I think overall it's a pleasant evening. Again, we're drying up towards the end of Saturday. We're going to be spotting some sunshine breaking out. And really not a bad end to Saturday, just going to be chilly. I think temperatures in the 40s. And overall, I think our highs for tomorrow are struggling to get into the 50s. So we can end a touch cooler with respect to what we had for today. Now, we will be watching our skies clearing Saturday night. Our winds are becoming light to calm. This is a good recipe to see temperatures bottom out, and we're going to be seeing those temperatures likely ending up back in the 20s Sunday morning. So anticipate a cold start to your Sunday before those highs climb back likely in the 50s Sunday afternoon. Sunday morning, still dealing with at least some sunshine in place. Dry conditions for the start of your Sunday. We don't have to worry about any rain even going into midday on Sunday. At that point, though, we're seeing a lot more cloud cover moving into the area. Then, yes, by the afternoon hours, this is when we're going to start to spot some showers moving in as skies will be turning cloudy. Now, Futurecast is illustrating the potential there for some snow mixing with this rain going into the afternoon, but I do think that the majority of our precipitation type will remain as rain. I don't think we're going to deal with much, if any, snow. I think it's going to be primarily rain, and even if we were to see some snow mix in, likely not to accumulate, no impacts to road conditions, so nothing that's going to be able to stick and nothing that's going to, impact our road conditions. They are just going to remain wet as we go throughout the day Sunday. And while we're dealing with these showers into Sunday, by Sunday night, that's where we're going to notice these showers transition to more of a steady rain, just like what Futurecast is showing. And yes, we can deal with some pockets of heavier rain Sunday night. So this is going to be when we're dealing with more of a washout. But again, it coincides for the overnight hours. This is after the sun sets on Sunday night that we're dealing with this rain, which again can be heavy, maybe a rumble of thunder in the mix, but more likely just dealing with rain and some pockets of heavier rain. This does carry over into early Monday morning, but by daybreak Monday, we're likely drying up, and only a slight chance that we're dealing with any shower for the start of your work week on Monday. And we're even spotting a mix of sun and clouds, of some sunshine returning Monday. Going to be quite breezy start to next week, and our high temperatures likely ending up more mid-upper 50s. So we're trying to get back closer to 60 degrees into Monday afternoon. Drew joining us for this evening, saying hi, how you doing? I'm doing well. What a beautiful day it was, wasn't it? Lots of sunshine. It was gorgeous. Great outside. Yeah, I agree, Drew. Great outside with that sunshine. How much rain is expected this weekend? We're actually going to dive into that right after this, Drew. And that's our next graphic coming up. We're diving into that. Kyle, what is the factor that caused the shift to the colder weather this week? Well, we started to see that instead of dealing with that ridging, we saw the trough. So we started to deal with that cooler pattern in place. We started to build mild. That instead of dealing with that ridge of high pressure in place we had last week, right? We dealt with some dry conditions, a good amount of sunshine with that ridge of high pressure sitting over us. You go to the quiet and warm weather, and again, we had a lot of sunshine on almost a daily basis last week, and it was the opposite this week. So we saw that ridge start to break down, a trough digging into the area, and we saw that pattern flip where we're dealing with the cooler temperatures and a little more active pattern as well, certainly in this stretch as well, which this week had a good evidence of that, dealing with a couple rounds of some rain coming our way. Scott said, this is such a blessing. I like the rain, Scott says. And yeah, we're getting a couple rounds of it coming our way, Scott, going throughout this weekend. Drew says, very good question. I wondered the same thing. Drew was wondering as well. I know it's supposed to be nice next week. And I will say, we will likely see the bit of a pattern flip going right at the end of the month where we can start to see that ridge develop again, where we can get back 60s, maybe 70s. But I think up until that point, this is certainly a cooler pattern that we're going to be in going throughout not only this weekend, but I think even into a good portion of next week. So let's jump into the precipitation amounts. So how much can we expect for our rainfall amounts as we do look ahead going throughout this weekend? Well, to start off, I think that most of us are dealing within about a trace to a tenth of an inch. I think that's going to be it. In terms of how much rain we're going to be dealing with on Saturday, I think that's it. Maybe on the higher end up to a quarter, but I really think a lot of us, it's just a trace to a tenth of an inch. Obviously, nothing there of concern, nothing impactful. Those are some very light rainfall amounts. Our showers, again, are light, more hit or miss, periodic. And just like what we had for yesterday, you could call it more of at most a nuisance, to dodge some of these showers, but certainly nothing impactful for the start of the weekend. Now, we will have to watch. Now, Sunday can be a bit of a different story. We can start to see some higher rainfall amounts moving into the area. And again, the emphasis is going to be Sunday night. And that's where we're dealing with that more steady rain that could be heavy at times. And that's where we could deal with some higher rainfall amounts, where we can get closer towards a half inch, maybe even exceeding a half inch of rain, in some locations, maybe even exceeding an inch of rain. And the best chance to see that high amount where we're seeing an inch plus of rain in spots is likely going to set up for locations south of I-70. So that's where you see an excessive rainfall risk actually in play Sunday. Again, the emphasis here is more so Sunday night. And it's not a high risk, right? It's a marginal. That's the lowest category, meaning that, overall, it's looking that there's a potential for flooding. But if it was to come to fruition, it's likely more isolated. But nonetheless, this is going to be what we're watching throughout this weekend, as I don't foresee any other risk coming our way. Nothing for severe weather, nothing with wintry impacts, whether that be snow accumulations or slippery road conditions. I don't foresee any of that. But if we were to have something come to fruition of an impact this weekend, this would be it. And again, the emphasis is Sunday night, where we have that potential to deal with maybe some isolated flooding. And again, the emphasis as it stands now is going to be locations south of I-70. You see in those areas highlighted with that excessive rainfall risk, a marginal risk. Again, the low risk, but nonetheless, the risk is there for Sunday night. So that is the one thing that we will be watching as we do extend throughout this weekend. And while, yes, we'll see those showers begin before Sunday night, it's really that heavy rain Sunday night that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Drew's asking, how are we looking for next weekend? Drew, looking warmer going into next weekend. I think that next Saturday, we can get back a good chance, at least in the 60s. We'll see. Maybe we can't even get back in the 70s. So yes, it is looking warmer at that point, right towards the end of the month, that we can start to see temperatures trend back upwards after this cooler pattern. Christopher joining us this evening saying, hello, when will the rain begin? So we're going to see that, this says again, it's scattered showers. We're going to see that early tomorrow morning, even leading up towards daybreak. Some of these scattered showers are moving in. Keep in mind, right, this is hit or miss. This is light. This is on and off. And there's still some dry times to be had, even in the morning and early afternoon when we're dealing with these scattered showers. But that's what we're watching for them late tomorrow. Then we'll likely see those end altogether. Saturday night, dry. Sunday morning, dry. And even around noon Sunday, still likely dry. By the afternoon, then showers move back in, and that steady rain will then likely develop around the evening, early Sunday night, and that will carry over into the second half of Sunday night. But by daybreak Monday, we're going to dry back up and likely going to stay dry throughout the day on Monday. Christopher also asking, are we still in a severe drought? No, we actually saw that drought condition come to an end. We've been dealing with a few weeks here where we have not been under drought conditions. And that was a big story. We saw it end right at the beginning. Well, it was really right at the end of February, And now so far for this month as well, we have not been under drought conditions. Abnormally dry, yes, but drought, no. So we did finally see that come to an end beginning since right at the beginning of last July. We had the dry pattern settle in before that, but in terms of the actual drought conditions for our area, where we saw that first drought in our area issued, that was right early July, I believe, of last year. So up until this past February, we had at least some drought conditions in our area for that whole entire stretch. So yeah, certainly significant to finally see that come to an end for us here in the Ohio Valley. Sarah says, I'm waiting for the warm weather again. I think we have to wait here. Give it about a week, Sarah. Here in about a week, I think, is when we're going to see some of those warmer temperatures return. Drew says, I heard it was supposed to be off and on for 9 hours from before sunrise to early afternoon. Yeah, that's pretty much what we were just discussing. I think that's a pretty good summary there, Drew. Right before daybreak and then into the early afternoon in that time frame. Yeah, I think that's a good time frame. And again, definitely more on and off, hit or miss, right? A lot of it's light, and nothing that's going to be big impact anything coming our way. Here going into the start of the weekend. Those showers are light. Again, a lot of us trace to 1/10 of an inch. That's it for precipitation amounts. So not a whole lot of overall rain into Saturday, but we are going to be dodging at least some light showers into that morning and early afternoon time frame. And our temperatures Saturday likely struggling to get into the 50s. It's going to be close. We're likely not far in the 50s. And then once we see those clouds clear and those winds will diminish, it's Saturday night. And then that's a good recipe for temperatures to bottom out into the 20s into Sunday morning. Cold start to Sunday, and then highs do climb back in the 50s Sunday afternoon. And that's when we'll see skies turn cloudy for the latter part of Sunday. And that's when showers move back in. And then again, more of a steady rain by early Sunday night. And Drew says, Nate, I was so glad a few weeks ago to hear you say the drought was officially dead. Yeah, it is nice to see that drought officially over. That's for sure. Like I said, certainly been dealing with that for a long period of time. Christopher's asking, how can I make my own weather graphic that you use on air? We have specific software that we use to make our weather graphics, but you could always mess around with like PowerPoint if you have that available to you, Christopher, and you kind of mess around into something like PowerPoint and make something similar kind of graphic. And I'm sure it's harder to animate anything in PowerPoint in terms of like seeing how the our weather icons there for that mix of sun and clouds with that rain animated. Probably harder to do that in like something like PowerPoint, but that's the thing I could think of on the top of my head. I'm sure there's other software that you're able to get fairly easily online, but yeah, we use specific software that we purchased to use on the air. But yeah, I think that would be a good start if you maybe mess around into something with PowerPoint and maybe mess around to see what kind of graphics and maybe even, just I know another good. I know I've used it for some. Think the online. It's mainly more of like a photo editor, but I've certainly used it as well to mess around with some graphics, making them on my own. That would be Pixlr, Pixlr. That's a free, it's based online. Just search that in your browser, and that's just a website that's free to use. And maybe mess around a little bit in that as well to make your own weather graphics. That's one I've personally used as well. To make some weather graphics on my own before. And I think that's a really good tool. Again, it's used a lot for editing photos, but you could certainly make some stuff from scratch. And I have done that before. How can you make your own 7-day? So yeah, that's what I would start with. You can, something like PowerPoint, like I mentioned, that Pixlr, Pixlr, I believe is how it's spelled. And I'm sure there's even more if you were to do a search on your browser to making your own kind of graphics. But there's some off the top of my head that I could think of that might be a good place to start on making your own weather graphics, Christopher. So there's our weekend forecast. Again, we're dealing with a couple rounds of some rain Saturday morning into the early afternoon, and then again Sunday afternoon continuing through Sunday night. That's going to be our rounds of some rain this weekend. In terms of the wind speeds, they're going to pick back up tonight, and we're going to see wind gusts likely upwards about 30 miles per hour Saturday. Winds do diminish Saturday night, and as they do become light to calm with little cloud cover, that's, again, when they're going to really bottom out going into Sunday morning, and then wind speeds do not look as breezy going into Sunday afternoon. You can see winds much lighter at that point for the second half of this weekend. Again, I would watch Sunday night into Monday. I think wind speeds pick back up. Wind gusts Monday, maybe even in excess of 30 miles per hour. So it could be a pretty breezy start there to next week with a mix of sun and clouds. And, there's not a great chance of rain coming our way into the middle of next week, but it's one of the situations where it can't quite rule out at least a shower. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be a big rain threat into the middle of next week, but maybe we are dealing with a shower or two around that time period. Again, certainly nothing real wet, no big system coming our way into the middle of next week. Same story then even going into next Friday. Maybe we do spot that shower. Our temperatures at that point, though, pick up. And this is where we can see a bit of a flip in this cooler pattern that's in place right now. And I do think that's when we can get back in the 60s, maybe even 70s into next Saturday. So we're going to hope to see anything close to what we just had for this past Wednesday. I think the best chance to see that would be into that following weekend. Maybe we can at least get back into the 70s. I don't know about 80s, but at least maybe we could get back into the 70s into the following weekend, as it does look warmer. And then a little bit of a cool down can follow into that following week. What is the 7-day forecast? Yeah, just like this. This is a 10-day. But, this is just, you could just cut off those last 3 days. And if you just do that Saturday through Friday, there's your 7-day forecast. But, we include that up to 10 days. But yeah, absolutely. If you just cut off those last 3 days, you got your 7-day forecast ready to go here over the next week. All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate it, as always, tuning in. I hope you had a wonderful week. I hope you have a great weekend. I know it's not ideal dodging some rounds of rain, but honestly, it's not a bad weekend at all. Again, Saturday, fairly light, hit or miss, on and off. It's certainly nothing of a drenching rain to where it's going to be an absolute washout. Anything you have planned, if you want to try to get outdoors at any point going throughout Saturday, by all means, certainly still plan that, because again, this is nothing that's a drenching rain that's going to really impact going outdoors on Saturday. By Sunday, again, still watch for those showers in the afternoon. By the end of the day Sunday, if you're going out Sunday evening, it could start to turn into that drenching rain. So keep that in mind. The wettest part of this weekend is going to be the end of it, as that Sunday night. That's where we're dealing with that heaviest rain, more steady rain. And up until that point that we get towards the end of the day Sunday, overall this weekend, not too bad. Mix of sun and clouds, cold Sunday morning, chilly tomorrow morning, and these next couple of afternoons, I would say more cool is a good way to describe it. Sarah says, good job. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sarah. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate all of you for tuning in this evening for this weather update. Of course, make sure to stay tuned with Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Amanda Verrier going throughout this weekend. And I'll catch you guys coming up next week. I won't be here Monday, but I'll be right back here on Tuesday for your next weather update. And again, up until that point, stay tuned with Amanda Verrier and, of course, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Exline as well going into Monday. We'll keep you guys updated on those rounds of rain next week, that warm up that follows into that next weekend, and we'll see just how far those temperatures can climb late next week. It can rain on Sunday night. I'll be home, Drew says. Yeah, no, yeah. Let it rain while we're at home, right? Let it rain while we're at home. We'll take it. We'll take that good timing with that rain on Sunday night. All right. Have a good night as well, Drew, and all of you tuning in. I appreciate it as always. And of course, you can always catch me coming up right up here in just a couple hours, News 9 at 10 on Fox 9 News 9 tonight at 11. Have a good night and weekend.